When someone brings a phone in, what's the first step that gets taken in order to do a full file extraction? What's the first step?
It depends. There's got to be steps with regard to network isolation. I need to know if the device is AFU or BFU at that point.
I'd like you to describe the ideal situation as to getting the most reliable data from an iPhone from the start.
I would say the most reliable way is following the recently released SWIG-DE Scientific Working Group on Digital Evidence document on best practices of evidence handling, preservation, and imaging.
And tell me what that is.
Sure. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to ensure that you are isolating the device. This is also going to depend on condition from the network. So typically this would be done with a Faraday enclosure in a best practice. However, there are alternative ways of isolating from the network, such as disabling all of the communication protocols, such as Wi-Fi, airplane mode, etc.
Assume that Mr. O'Keefe was deceased around the latest 9 a.m. on January 29th, 2022. Isn't there activity on that phone? Location data.
Location data is unlikely to be reported in a device that is Faraday. I do see incoming data that is consistent with the device not being Faraday, such as the receipt of SMS messages, notifications from Ring, etc.
By your own report, you see activity.
I do see activity. It was not Faradayed.
Simply, doesn't your own report
Sure.
show activity up until noon on January 29, 2022?
Correct. And for clarity, my scope was till noon, so I don't know if there was activity beyond that.
I want to be clear.
Yeah.
There is activity on
Absolutely.
this phone.
Absolutely. The
Which
phone
shows that it was not put in airplane mode, it was not put in a Faraday bag, and it was not put in a Faraday box, and that failure is not best practice.
Correct. It is not in accordance
Thank
with the
you.
best practices. I agree. I would have Faradayed it.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Brennan, redirect.
Thank you. Let me ask you about a Faraday bag. You said that best practices is to isolate an item in a Faraday bag immediately after an incident.
There's a lot of times when this is situation dependent. An example of when you would not put something in a Faraday bag is when you have a deceased victim and you're going to be using their biometrics to possibly unlock the device. Because a Faraday bag is enclosed and then can't be opened, if your intent, if you don't have the password, is to use a deceased person's fingerprint to unlock the phone, we don't want to put the person's finger in the Faraday bag, so usually those phones would not be Faradayed, but they would typically have airplane mode enabled.